The other week, I was re-listening to this show, and I forgot to follow up to something that you said when you said it. And we're talking about the apple fritter, Tim. You mentioned that you get a little skeezed out at communal microwaves.
I did.
And I am just excited that I found something that is dirty that you don't like. Because
dude, yeah. I don't do that. I don't do that. And dude, I don't do potlucks either, man. That's just not my jam.
During the height of Coco, like I was like, I think during Thanksgiving, I was like, yo, I need to be the first person in that damn line because I know you guys don't wash your hands, and I'm disgusted by this.
Dude, and I'm being like,
y'all got it all wrong. That's how you build your immune system.
Okay, my good friend Jeremy Johnson.
Tim, you gotta eat. You gotta eat out of that dirty microwave, Tim.
But what is it about a microwave? Is like the
just all the food splattered all over the place, man, and I just don't. It just doesn't work for me. And
I can understand that. Like if I was
grubby kids' fingers and like going through like buffet lines and
so
and
at this place they had you actually like. It wasn't their access to the microwave. It was your access.
Yeah, it was your access.
Okay, so that's the problem then. Anyway, the viewers wanted to know, Tim. They told me. Actually, I told myself. I said, I have got to follow up with him about this.
Yeah.
Anyway, what do you think about communal? So you're a fan of this, Queen. Like you are a fan of enriching your environment of yourself by dirtyfying.
Yeah. I feel like it's nothing wrong with it. Build your flora and your fauna.
And many might be wondering, how in the world is Zack going to make this transition, or Tim going to make this transition to what Queen does? And this is the journalist in me. I can do it. The transition is, well, you have this system where people are in locker rooms. So talk about a dirty fest, right? Like whenever I'm at the gym and I go into that locker room, I'm like, I wonder when this actual piece of thing was actually cleaned.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I'm telling you what, though, man. They're like, to me, like when it comes to locker room stuff, there's the other thing that, dude, like the wet floors, like that in a locker room, that doesn't work for me either.
So I used to, before, probably like 2019 and before, if I'd gone to a pool, I wouldn't wear sandals, which is absolutely repulsive. Ew. Now I wear sandals. Now I have like specific gym sandals. We're starting this show off just right. I bought the most obnoxious things, but you know what? Like it's gross. It's gross. Yeah. So I know nothing about you. Your business, so this will be exciting. I think you and Tim have met a handful of times, maybe.
Yeah, we first interaction was Start Peninsula last year, and I'm curious to get a little to check in to see how things have progressed, because I think that from the time that you pitched, things have there was like either a minor pivot, or there was a pivot in terms of how you message what it was you're doing. Because the second time that I saw you, then all of a sudden it was either you or maybe it was Evans or Eileen that had said something. And then I was like, now I get it. But there was a small tweak in the messaging, I believe. So I'm looking forward to catching up on that.
Yeah, I that was my first pitch experience ever. And it was brutal. It was brutal. Only because Eileen from 757 Star Studios, she was a judge there, and she was the one that was just like, to me, I was like, dang.
Yeah, she'll make Zack seem nice. And Zack is usually the one that will to ask the tougher questions, but she was. I just sit in the background. I mean, as an MC of the program, I'm thinking, wow, this is, this is just to validate, I mean, we're jumping the gun a little bit in some of these questions, and it's,
well,
as
I feel like the beautiful part about that, and the part that I took away, I think the most valuable thing that I took from that interaction was that Eileen, she made me explain to her, this is of course afterwards, but in that moment I realized my audience, like I have to be able to talk to my audience and not assume anyone knows anything about,
and that was great feedback.
Partnerships
so I teach the Pitch Perfect class for those that are watching and listening. And so some of the feedback when Zack was a judge was that, that a lot of the pitchers don't understand, especially this being the first time that they pitch, is that this is the first time that any of the judges have ever heard at you or anything about the business. So you can't assume that they know what you know.
Right.
Especially
and
when
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter like who the person is, because like Eileen is from Silicon Valley, right? And she was like, I love her. She is the best person to talk to your idea about, because she will tell you how garbage it is until you make her understand what it is.
I tell you, the most humbling experience that I ever had was I was asked to do like a business expo type of booth thing for a high school. Mm-hmm. And when those high schoolers, when those students, if they didn't know or if they didn't understand, they were just like, they told you in a hurry.
Right.
And I was like, wow, that was great. But how about you, Zack?
Even if your audience does know who you are and thinks they know what you do, you should still be able to articulate that back to them, because it's that muscle memory, if you will, of that repetition of being in there. So it is really important to know your audience. And I think at events like a Start Peninsula or any kind of pitch fest, like I find them heavily flawed for the entrepreneur, because they're getting feedback from people who aren't their customers. So if that person, or like a 1 million cups, or just like anything like that, like I feel like the person who's pitching really has to understand, like, take all this feedback in, but understand that like a lot of the people who are giving you the feedback are never and will never be your customer. So just be very cautious in what they're saying, dissect it afterwards. But I think a lot of people hear that feedback and it's too general, or you haven't figured out how to like maneuver that, and they're just like, oh my God, like I need to do all this stuff. Like, and I remember I've pitched a couple of times where people would give feedback and it's like, I have already figured out that what you just said doesn't work, but I am not in a space where I can say that, because it wasn't the right thing. And so they're making me on stage look like a donkey, when it's like, I know that like, it seems on surface that should be what works, but I can guarantee you I have 1,000 people that I've tried that on and it doesn't work. And at this point, I don't think it's me, right? I think it's that person, even though it seems like they should be the right fit, it's actually not. So it's situations like that are very difficult, I think, for the entrepreneur, especially a first timer, to really understand, like, okay, like they might really be hurting my feelings. They're not trying to hurt your feelings.
Right.
They're trying to get into it. But there is this like thick skin mentality in there that if you've never been there and you think your baby's perfect, like it's a tough scenario to be a part of. I stopped your question, Tim, before you. What were you asking me?
No, what was the toughest environment that you had ever been in, that you found that you got the most brutal or honest feedback?
Let me think about that. I don't know.
Does it happen too often, or does it not happen enough?
As you think about it, though, I mean, so that's what, like, one thing that if you don't have that messaging down, and then if you're like learning on the fly, and then you're in a position where you have to say it over and over and over and over again, it's amazing how quickly you can build a bad habit. And then it's really, really difficult to correct that, because that habit has been formed, and really, really quickly.
Well, sometimes like from an event perspective, maybe not even a pitch, just like what people expect, you know? So like maybe the first Start Norfolk where like it was really rough. Like, so Start Norfolk is like a Start Peninsula queen, but it was in person. Start Peninsula used to be in person, but now this was in person. We were expecting like 50 people to come to the first one. I think like 150 people showed up. We were in a really small room. So like it was great from that perspective of like, oh, this is very like overwhelming and exciting. But then like there was a lot of people who had their opinions of like they're not ready for this and blah 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 blah. So maybe something like that. I don't know. Maybe a one-on-one pitch when I was trying to fund hatch in some of those funds, like maybe something like that where people will ask me things like, I remember I asked someone who's fairly wealthy in town, extremely wealthy in town. I went in there for 3 things that I wanted the person to do. And they basically poo-pooed on 2 of them. And the one thing that they did do was write a check. I asked for a heck of a lot more money and they were like, absolutely not. But they still wrote a check at the end of the day, which I guess was nice. But like, I think they gave me like 5% of what I asked for.
Oh,
I asked for a lot. And I think they get like, which is like, but they still got it. I was still able to capitalize on that person's name and leverage it to get other people on, which is, if you think of your historical shopping malls, the anchor tenant, have an anchor tenant if you're raising money. I think there's a real big opportunity there. See, the anchor can be a positive word. Imagine that. Silicon anchor.
I know, right?
Someone the other day said anchor. That's a negative word. I was like, okay, thanks. Like, I disagree. Like,
no, yeah, we greatly appreciate you guys in the community, for sure. This is Tim. You guys Start Peninsula is like where I first got any experience with the micro pitch, or not just at that micro pitch event, but the Pitch Perfect.
Well, and it's just, I mean, that's one of the things that we've been doing this long enough that we can say the same for a lot of companies. And to see some of the companies go through capital raises and whatever the case is, it's just, all this stuff takes time, and people don't realize that you just have to let things, they just have to
manifest, right?
That's exactly right. So this is just one chapter of your journey. Tell us about your journey now. Tell us about Bäro My Keys.
Sure. Yeah. So my name is Adquena Faine. Most people just call me Queen. My company is Bäro My Keys. We're pretty much, our goal is just to make travel planning the most forgettable experience, and taking a vacation. We automate key management so that people with short-term rental properties and short-term rental like vehicles, RVs, anything that's peer-to-peer sharing, we kind of help hosts manage their keys remotely, and that boosts income for the host. And then on the traveler side, the guest side, we just want to make the process seamless. So you get off the airplane, you step off your plane. You don't have to plan for a car or a house wherever you want to stay. You just come to our kiosk and get your keys all in one spot.
You know what's interesting as you say that? One of the biggest things about like a DoorDash or Postmates back in the day, before Coco, which for the listeners who don't know, Coco is my abbreviated version of that dreaded thing that happened around this time 3 years ago. If I recall, that was when Tim and I did our first show, the coronavirus. One of the worst things about DoorDash and Postmates and Grubhub is you used to have to go meet the person, and you have to say, hey, how are you? Sorry I didn't give you a good enough tip, whatever. Then when Corona came around, they just clicked a button that said, leave it at my door, and they dropped it there. And that instantly became like so valuable. It's like, good, I don't ever have to see this person. And it kind of it makes me link to this, where it's like, well, if I don't have to see the host, that's even better. for whatever reason, I don't know why people don't want to see people. Like, is there any thought behind that? Like, it
I
just
just
seems
feel
like
like that person wasn't like invited on your vacation. You know, I mean, some people are social butterflies and they really want to be a part of the exchange of keys and the customer service, and I get that. But for the guest side, I mean, I've done hundreds of customer interviews sitting at the airport, and I know for a fact that people don't want the host to be a part of their vacation. Like, that's not impressive. But I'm not here to change anybody's mind as far as that goes. I'm here to create an option for people who have physical keys and they want the most seamless process for their guests.
How do you tie into an Airbnb, VRBO, a Turo or whatever? How do you tie into this? Is that
those are people that host that provide guest properties, or they use Airbnb or Turo or Outdoorsy for RVs. That's one of my favorites. It's kind of like a partnership, like we help them boost their earnings by making their properties available 24/7. So they can enable instant access. I've been a Turo host myself for many years, since they were relay rides, right? Like 2016 was when I started. And I was a single mom and I was working full time. I was going to school and I was bringing a little extra income in with hosting my vehicle. But the part that sucked was trying to get keys to my guests, whether it's them coming to my house, ringing my doorbell at night, or me having to get my little girl up at night with her pajamas on and her hair looking all like that. And then going to the airport, dropping off a car. It was just ugly. So no, Zach, I'm just, I'm telling you, I feel you.
I'm about to leave this call.
No, it's a beautiful thing. It brings back memories, so it helps.
Yeah, now that you mentioned that whole Turo thing, yeah, I mean, that could be a pretty cumbersome process,
especially when you have small children. So, she was, she still is. She's 10 now, but then she was a lot younger. And just getting her up in the middle of the night, that wasn't fair to her.
But even like a Facebook Marketplace, like I never want to do because I don't want to see the person. I just don't want to go into that exchange. I just don't. Like, I don't want to find like an Easy Verify has taught me that, like, hey, like these things are a little risky in a situation where I got to go meet a stranger. I got to hope to hell that they're who they say they are. And yes, there's ways to verify and make sure. Use easyverify.com, that's their pitch, is they're all on that. But like, I don't know. It's kind of a weird scenario to be a part of. And it's just like, I'd like to trust humans, but a lot of sketchy people out there.
It can be very sketchy. And if being, as a man, it's sketchy for you. You can imagine being a little woman, like when we have to, I'm making good money, but I got to bring my car out here to some alleyway or something crazy, because sometimes you have to take your car to the person's house, right? So those are just some of the scenarios that, made me feel like maybe I can do this differently. Like, what can I do to help women boost their income? Because the difference between me not being on instant booking, like making my car available 24/7, and then enabling that instant booking feature was like $2,500 or about a $2,000 difference. So I went from making $500 to $2,500 a month on average, and it was a no-brainer. I had to, if I wanted to earn max earnings, I had to make that available. But how could I do that in a safe manner was the challenge.
So how does it work?
Yeah, I want to hear about the lockers or the machine mechanisms. How enlighten us?
Yeah. Okay, so we have a software and hardware integration. There's basically a progressive web app, right? Like you don't have to download any apps if you don't want to. You just go right to our web application, and you as a host, um, you can log in, make your properties available. You can manage all your rentals in one space. So your house, your car, your RV, your storage space, if you want to, anything with physical keys, we house those physical keys. So you can kind of put everything there, and then as people need them, they can click on the website, look and see what's available in that particular kiosk in their area, and go there, type a code that they're giving, or scan the QR code, and the lockbox opens up with their keys. So it's a small locker just for keys, and the UV light inside also disinfects the keys, Tim, just for you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
How do you
more for me? Tim probably doesn't give a crap. Please.
How do you prevent people from like not swapping some undesirable type stuff? You know, you always see the movies like the train station. That's where people do all the exchanges in those lockers and that kind of thing. Is that just or the locker? But yeah, I'll stop there.
So you mean like drug deals?
It could be that, or it could be anything.
I'm currently watching the show The Wire, and I feel like there's a lot of drug deals on The Wire. So, like,
yeah.
Well, hopefully we can prevent that by using QR codes from the host. So if you're a host on Turo or Airbnb, you have to, we validate that, make sure that you actually have a property or a car or something to share with the community.
And do people use those kind of like scenarios to drug deal? Like, is this a known thing, or did you just come up with this, Tim? Because it seems fascinating.
Well, no,
not necessarily the Bäro locker box, but like
yeah. I mean, no, I'm just thinking like there's been a time or two where Terry, my wife, has rented a car to go up to Northern Virginia, and like she gets in the car, and the thing just reeks of marijuana. Or I have a friend who's a all-star Turo host, and just watching and reading. I think he calls it like the Turo Chronicles. We'll have to have him on the show at some point. But, like the chronicles that he has of just the stories that he comes back with is just insane. And at least with him, it's a little bit easier because for the most part, he has a fleet of Teslas that he rents out. So at least there you can just download the app. They sign in with the password, and then that's the key. So, but true. Man, the stories that he comes back with, or that you can follow on Twitter, is pretty crazy.
So, do you have the liability, or does that? Oh, this is the door just opened. This is gonna be great.
My cat literally just opened the door and screamed.
I was really. So there was like this newscast like 5 years ago where the kid came in and the guy was on like, I think it was BBC or something. Yeah. I can't remember, but like I was really hoping for that moment right now. The cat crying is that's exciting, I guess, but not as or maybe we were going to see a ghost.
Well, I
figured you wanted to see the ghost. I
was thinking it might have been like the Easter bunny in that picture that your cup is now.
Oh, my little, that's my baby. This is my why. She's my why.
You have a technology background?
I actually work for IBM. I started working for IBM in 2019. That's what brought me to North Carolina. And then Coco happened. And then we went remote. So I'm a storage engineer. I don't know that I would necessarily say I have a technology background, but not necessarily. No. I'm not by any means a software developer or anything.
So you outsource, you have a person on your team. How did you get the technology built?
Yeah, so I was able to meet James Doe Jr., who was CEO of Diaphanous, and he's in 757 Startup Studios. He was in the cohort before me, and then he's there. He was, I guess they got an extension, and he's just been so lovely at, just sharing his time and his advice, and wherever the help is needed, he's there to help with technology because that's what they do. So.
James is a good dude. I really like James a
Yes,
lot.
he is. He is like doing so much more. I wish that, I don't know. It's like, I would love to just, be like, bring everybody his way. Because I mean, to have people around him that he can kind of get empowered to also help. He's a really awesome guy, and I can't thank him enough. We would not be where we are right now if we didn't have him, because he was able to really get my brain down to the nitty gritty as far as having an MVP, and kind of, just allowing me the freedom to learn, in different ways, but also saying, hey, this is, you got to think, this is the MVP, and then like, let's build this. This is what needs to be built. So for right now, an MVP is minimum viable product, right? So
the
my
machines,
dreams were here, and he kind of like
the machines that you're getting ready to receive, is that considered part of your MVP, or is that one step, two step, three steps past the MVP? So where are you at in the process now?
I would like to say yes. It's a part of my MVP. If I ask James, he'll probably say that I am the MVP because I've been doing it so far just manually, changing lock codes on like lock boxes, or kind of just manually like running around. I have a couple clients right now that I do help, and it's just been me, my way of testing the waters without putting up a whole bunch of money. Now that we've kind of tested a little bit, I did get a machine built, and James is actually helping write software to have the machine pop open with a certain locker code. So that'll be launching at the end of April, mid to late April.
And where are you going to put that machine?
In Virginia Beach, in the Peninsula Town Center. Our goal was to have it at the airport, but the airport is, we have to, it's TSA, right? Like security reasons. They don't like to have lockers in the airport. So we're just trying to, yeah.
But when you're talking about, so when you're talking about customer discovery, MVP, thinking about judges on stages, like to me, that right there, like the assumption could have been, we're going to put this in an airport to start, right? And then you realize real quickly that assumption for that TSA thing basically poo-poos it, right? I mean, is there a way around that at any time, or do you have to completely shift off of that?
We've gotten some good feedback from like the Charlotte airport, and they suggested the airport garages and parking lots, which works for me. I mean, the goal is just to have a seamless experience for the guest. So if the guest kind of knows up front, they can just, fast forward, a year or two from now, when there's a machine at every major airport and everybody knows, they just hop off the plane and go to this machine, or just like look at their phone, see what's available at the machine at the airport. They don't really have to,
but
try
they
to
don't
find
want it
anything.
after TSA is what they're. That's where
I think it's it will just inside that airport, the facility itself, for some reason is just. And then I've actually talked to someone that said behind TSA may work. You just have to figure out how to make like a partnership with TSA, and then that we're talking like adding on like a job, trying to get TSA to put.
At that point, I would think that the cost would get to be too high.
Exactly.
But sometimes in situations like that, it's like, okay, like how much time do you spend trying to facilitate that answer instead of, okay,
right,
like let's keep this on the back burner. This is a great idea once we have a lot more traction, but right now this doesn't make sense because they're just gonna crap on it the entire time. And I could literally spend my entire life trying to get this to work, and it may never work because of this facility, of this one aspect of it, when it could be somewhere else, like a more open space.
And that's kind of what we're doing now, Zach. Like we just figure, hey, let's just help someone. Right now, it may not be, as easy for a guest to get to Town Center and then get to their Airbnb in Norfolk, but we may be able to help somebody who's already in Peninsula Town Center in Virginia Beach. And they say, well, I have a property here, and it just so happens that someone who's renting is already on their way to that property, right? So, hey, the kiosk is here. Just get the keys from the kiosk and head on up. So we're looking for people in the community that are willing to at least give us a try it out, see what works and what doesn't, and how we can help, how we can improve.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like even like how do like UPS and FedEx, how do they handle the keys to all their delivery vehicles every morning?
You go and you get like a lockbox and you have a key and you have they have an app. They all have to go and pick up basically a bag that has the keys, a phone that tells them where to go, that tells them where to go, what to truck, and all that kind of stuff. So there's a meeting point. Yeah. Okay. There's videos on YouTube about that.
Well,
I've looked that up before.
Yeah, because the thing that's really interesting, like UPS, I can't remember what it is, but they train their drivers to always step out with either their left or their right foot, because that will shave a half a second off every time they get out of the vehicle.
Oh my God.
Only left turns or something too.
And they only make right turns. Yeah. Right turns, yeah. So I'm just thinking like places like that, when time really does matter, if you could shave. Yeah, Have
you ever gone on Amazon and seen like where your package is, and they're like, oh, it's 10 steps away or 10 drops away.
Yeah,
it's in your neighborhood and it's literally the next 10 houses on your street. You're like, man, everyone's buying this thing. It's crazy.
That's a more recent thing after Coco.
Okay, so thinking of brands and names, I'm fascinated by the name of your company. And this is where maybe devil's advocate Zack comes out. The mean question Zack comes out. Okay, so you have a word that's a common word, borrow, but you spell it differently, and then it has the
umlaut.
The who's?
Umlaut.
Umlaut.
I don't know what that is.
You can't be mean, Zack, if you can't say umlaut.
Umlaut?
It's the 2 dots above the A.
Yes, thank you. See, so the 2 dots above the A, which is what I was going to call it. Come on, man. Like I'm not smarter than a 3rd grader or a 5th grader or whatever it is. Let's go. But like that's a difficult thing. I obviously can't. I don't think put an umlaut. How do you spell it? UMLO umlaut. Whatever.
LAUD, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there you go. Why spell it not the typical name? Why add the 2 little dots above the A? What was the whole background behind that?
Okay, so what had happened was...
Oh, boy.
When you start off with what had happened was... No, so my daughter came up with those, and she initially wanted them to be hands that were like kind of like reminded you or put you in the mindset of like someone giving someone something. So she, that's my co-founder. So I put the hands there. Initially, our design was a lot different, but we hired a designer who kept the idea of the 2 dots over the A. And then now each color represents a phase in the UI and the user experience or the user interface. But initially, it was like 2 hands that were like giving keys or receiving keys.
And you're not concerned with people not knowing how to spell it, not knowing how to pronounce it, things like that? There isn't that aspect of it?
I'm hoping that the brand itself is kind of catchy, and more so our color and like what we when you see this burnt red, burnt orange box, you just know that it's a borrow box, and not necessarily have to care about how it's spelled. But that's the goal as far as branding. if that makes sense. Does that answer your question, Zack?
Yeah, it does.
What talk to us about the economics of the business? Where are you at with that, and what did you find out during your customer discovery?
Okay, yeah. So we are like early stage, and I know I say pre-revenue, but we have a couple clients, so that's a good thing. We're happy to have a couple clients helping us validate our idea. But we are going out and still we're a part of the ICAP program this current cohort. So we're going to do a lot more customer discovery and kind of be there at the airport at the pain point, I guess, and also trying to talking to hosts from the Airbnb side and the peer-to-peer sharing side.
Gotcha.
And seeing how that works. But for now we're early stage and not really bringing in much revenue right now. What's valuable to us is data, so that's like we're rich in data for right now.
Got it. Well, your customers will tell you everything that you want to, or everything that you need to know. So
yeah.
What's more important, the host or the buyer?
That's a good question. I'm gonna say I honestly feel like the guest, the end user, the guest that rents the place or the car, I feel like they are the goal. They're the most important, I guess.
So are you marketing to them or to the host then?
Both sides.
Because we've been talking 37 minutes or so. Like, I didn't think this was a double-sided marketplace until just now.
Well, I wanted to touch on that too, because I started picking up on that, and I was like, gosh. So somebody recognizes the branding, they see the burnt orange red box, and they're like, man, I need to rent a car. Yeah, is there like a QR code they can scan to see what kind of car might be available, and then they can do everything that way?
Convenience-wise, yeah.
Absolutely. And I feel like that is the reason why it's going to be more so the guests that kind of push it is the convenience. Like you can just walk by. It's kind of like like Redbox, right? Like everybody knows when you pass Redbox, it's movies there, and you say, oh well, let's get a movie. You don't have to think about anything else. You can go right there. So that's what the goal is, to just have it where if you need rent a rental car or a place to stay in a pinch, you see the box and you go there and you grab keys.
But is this actually on the host's website?
No, it would be, so the host would still keep their like Airbnb or
but in their communication they could say like, hey, if you're looking for this is where you pick it up, and that would make the convenience easier.
Yeah, they can say that to their guests, but the goal is to have somebody be able to walk up to it and just say, I need this now. So they scan a QR code, they look and see what's available in this particular box, and then they get the keys from there. Or, if they did some planning, because we want to make the planning, we're trying to take the planning part out of it, or make it at least forgettable. Everybody that goes on vacation and comes back with a story about picking up keys, that's not, they don't have a great experience to tell you about picking up keys. So the whole goal is to make that part of them forgettable, and just say, hey, when they get off the plane, they pick up keys. They like, a kiosk is here. Let's get keys from the Bäro kiosk. Pick up keys and go.
Yeah, I'm really.
That you have that face.
Well, now I'm just like I feel it getting harder and harder for you in this sense, where it's like, okay, like I've done exactly what you're talking about. I haven't done Toro, but I have done the other experiences. And yes, I don't want to see that person, but there's this other layer in there that now as a consumer, I have to somehow not just be on their platform that I'm buying from, but now I have to be on the Bäro platform too.
Well, no,
they're not tied together. Like you're not tied into their API. I'm not saying that you should. I'm just
I
saying.
see it.
No, that's valid. That's valid. We do
difficult.
We do hope to be. The goal is to be tied into their API. What we don't want to do is try to reinvent the wheel. We want to keep everybody like we want to partner with the Airbnbs and the Turo, and basically we just reroute the. So if you're a guest, right, we show you what's available in the kiosk, what keys are available, and when you book, you would be rerouted to that Airbnb link, right? So you'll see that person's property, book there. The confirmation will kick back an API or a confirmation to Bäro to say, yes, this person booked, and then it will also text message them the QR code to open that particular locker. So we are just to house keys, and we make it easier for the guests to not have to download another, app. So they will have to sign into Airbnb or Turo to do the official reservation, but it kind of kicks them back to us, kind of like PayPal, with like merchant websites, right? You pay through PayPal, but then you kind of come back.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Zach, you look perplexed.
Yeah, I'm thinking, from that standpoint, yeah, I mean, I think that outside the airport thing it could be a blessing in disguise that the airports are difficult, because then you don't have to worry about parking costs and all that stuff for the people to get the keys, unless the car is parked someplace different. I don't know. I mean, like someplace
people
like
are already doing it. We're already parking our cars at the airport, so the cars are there. And then, I mean, this is not an option for everybody, but it is an option for people who have physical keys. A lot of people have keys to their vehicle that they can't lock in their car because they don't have the like the Tesla, or like one of my vehicles, I had an app that I could just lock and unlock from from my phone, but not every car has that, and not every person necessarily wants to leave their key on the tire, the front driver's side tire. But you can get parking passes at the airport and just leave your keys in the garage. I mean, it cost me like $200, but the money that you make, the fees that you get back, I mean, that pays for it. So I mean, it pays for itself. So your car's there at the airport is really convenient. It's just, okay, how do I make sure that my car is not get stolen with,
Right. Okay, that's making sense.
So we've got a few different cars. We have
don't answer this. Don't answer. I'm trying to figure out. No, don't answer that. Because I was just going to go to the airport.
I'm gonna do a hard.
Take your car. Yeah.
Hard right turn.
That would be a good way for me to validate this idea. See, Zach Miller stole my car. So.
No, or anyone listening.
I want to know one thing that's interesting. You had mentioned we have on our show notes about Clubhouse, and that you have a mom. I'm tongue tied on this.
Single moms with side hustles.
Yeah.
Well, so I didn't realize. So Clubhouse back in the day was it was all the rage, and I didn't know if people people still active on Clubhouse.
Yeah. So I'm not the technical person. I just got introduced to Clubhouse through James. He has they're doing a project for it's mental health awareness project. They've got a project called Teddy Bears for Broken Adults, and I joined, and it was the first time ever that I've been introduced to Clubhouse, and that was just a few months ago. So I was oh, this is really cool, and I just thought, hey, make a space for single mothers who just want to talk about ways to make money on the side, and spend more time with your kids, and then still have passive income coming in, or can work at the times when their kids are at school.
How often do you do you host the meetup?
I try to do it once a week on Thursdays. It just gets busy, but it's something fairly new, and I haven't grown a following yet, so I'll check in and see what's going on. a lot of people that I meet and I'm able to help is like people in person that are rent. A lot of time, most of the time, it's like they rented the car, and we just get kind of chatting, and then they've like either asked about Turo or like asked about, just asked about ways to make money.
So you're a single mom? You are a single mom?
So not anymore. I have a lovely wife now, thankfully.
Yeah. So when you were putting that together, was that just something that was difficult for you, and so at the time that's why you had kind of leached onto to that brand, if you will, of the single moms with side hustles, or how'd you get to that?
I mean, it stuck with me that I was going through so much. I started Bäro in 2021, and it kind of just stuck with me, the struggles that I was going through for 4 or 5 years, doing hosting a car on Turo, and then hosting multiple vehicles, and then just the difference between having passive income or somewhat passive income, right, and then having to adjust that because I have a child. Like I was like, it was like tug of war between, do I spend time with my kid or do I like make money, or the quality time, and that the quality time won. So I wanted to make sure that I did what I could do and at least gave other single women with young children an option to like level the playing field, and give them an option that's safe and convenient for them to make more money, but not have to go out and put themselves in harm's way, or like out there in the sketchy situations.
That's what makes technology a beautiful thing. Just lowering the barrier of entry, and just really, it does really level the playing field.
I mean, I was making way less money on Turo, and I thought about it. I'm like, people who have a partner or someone who can say, okay, follow me up to the airport or follow me to this person's house, or like, at least just the security of having another person in the house, that somebody comes to your door, like, okay, it's not just me here by myself. I'm not going to say it's not fair, but it's just like, okay, let's make it easy for everybody to have access to be able to like exchange keys in a safe and convenient manner.
I'm not sure that I would be cool with like that situation with my wife, honestly. Like, and I know she can hold her own, but like, I would probably just be like, yeah, would rather you not have to go through what you went through, Queen. I mean, it's just the possibility is
right.
Is a scary situation, and no, I did.
And I've heard some horror stories from guests, so it gets ugly.
The safety aspect, the threatening aspect of these tools that you guys help, or that are being utilized, like an Airbnb and a Turo and things like that, is it. Do you find that the security aspect of making something safer is easier to sell because of what you're doing, or is there still a learning curve on that when you're talking with people, it's easier to sell what you're doing?
It's typically my target market right now. I'm really honing in on single women with children. So it's a lot easier. They kind of, I feel like I know what that feels like, and they're easier to relate to because I've been there, and that safety aspect is something that they know, and for the most part, they're like just kind of relieved that there's something out there that they can do.
What's the pricing look like?
Right now we're in beta testing stage, so we're doing free trials, but it's $20 a month per locker, $19.99 per locker per month. We've tested different price points, and I feel like that's like one of those things where we'll get there. but I feel like everybody, it's like a win-win. If you host on Turo, you're getting your money back. So we make it to where we're not taking, we're not hitting anybody in the head, and we're able to make this an option.
Well, and if you value your time as a host, the time that you're saving from driving there and back for every single time that you have a rental event occur, I mean, it's time well saved and money well spent.
Yes. And that's why sometimes it may not be the option or the best option for some. Just the fact that it's an option where it may not, there's a gap where there's no option. And so we're trying to fill that space with something and, make it beneficial for everybody.
It has all started to come together. I'm now definitely understanding the aspect. Okay. So there is a box. A person who is a host leaves the key in that box, and that's theirs for at least the next month. Got it. It's not a per transaction type of thing. It's always there. Got it.
Right. Yes, that's right.
God, I'm smart. It only took me so long to figure this out.
Sorry, Zach. I apologize.
No, I think it always being there, I think is the thing, not when it needs to be there, like a one-off.
Right. So we have right now, our client is in California, and it's just convenient for him because he doesn't have to keep coming back here to change locker codes, and we basically do everything for him right now. But when the machine is here, the QR codes will automatically be sent to his guest or to the guest, and the keys stay there. So when the guest drops the keys back off, we have a little fob. The machine can tell whether or not the key is actually in there. And then they can just leave, and then the next person that rents can just, come there. They get a new code. The keys are disinfected, and then kind of off they go.
So a centrally located peer-to-peer key release system.
Yes. Thanks, Zack.
Write it down.
I did.
Yep.
and if you want a beta test, you're looking for beta testers, and then just go to your website.
Yeah. Yes.
I think that's the hardest. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say baro-usa.com, BARO-USA.com. Yeah, we're looking for people that just want to, help us validate our ideas free. We really value the data and the feedback. So I can't say it's free. We value the data and the feedback. So we appreciate it.
Awesome.
What's something that you want to talk about that we haven't talked about?
I was going to say this upcoming micro pitch, but no. No, I mean, seriously, just kind of just how we all tie together in the community. I really just hope that I can give back. You guys do such a good job of giving back to the community and building just awareness. You guys give a lot of, I would like to be able to do that for the community myself, and then bring others and kind of be that glue that brings our entrepreneurs, our small businesses, and our community of people together. So appreciate what you guys are doing. And I just, I really would like to be able to do that. Anybody that's watching this can reach out. I'm a wealth of knowledge when it comes to side hustles.
Well, we need more people like you, Queen. So I appreciate that. And it takes many of like-minded people like all of us to change the community, to change the mindset, and to move the needle forward. So for that, thank you.
Yeah. My pleasure. Always a pleasure. Appreciate you guys.
Anything else? Or do you want to leave it at that?
Actually, I learned something from Tim, and so I'm going to use it right now. I do have something else, but I'm gonna, if you guys don't mind, can we set a date for another meeting? I have something coming up. I have a meeting I have to get to. So if you don't mind, can we set another meeting?
There you go.
Is that a sales strategy to get people so that you have another date in the future? Is that the
I wouldn't say that it's a sales strategy, but I mean, it's like
have something on the calendar just to
continue the conversation.
Continue the combo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a bad technique there, Tim. Congratulations.
Well, especially like primarily like when you're in a pitch competition and you run out of time on the Q&A aspect to be like, hey, I'd like to talk more about that. Let's have a follow-on meeting.
I've judged that 2 or 3 times. I've never heard someone use that. I want to hear someone say that at one of these pitches. That would be
a lot of times, but I tell them to slide it into the DMs.
Got it.
Sliding
it in the DMs. There it is.
Yep.
Okay.
It only took episode 151 for someone to say that. That is. I'm sure someone said it before. Well, just slide into the DMs. There you go.
That's right. Queen, appreciate you. Wish you
appreciate
the very,
you
very
guys
best.
too. Thank you so much. Hope to see you very soon, Tim.
I'm glad their cat made an appearance too. That was just absolutely fantastic.
I'm glad you like him. He's funny. Dude is like, he trips when I'm not around for a while. So I wish that I could have had some cool effect to make it look like it was a ghost coming in, and then you would have been happy.
Well, maybe when I rewatch this back, there will be a ghost.
You may. You never know.
I don't know. Appreciate your time, Queen. Thank you much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Peace.
Take care.